It's really not that big of a deal when you get down to it. I think really your life experience matters so much more. The work that you've done on yourself matters so much more, like how open-minded you are, how emotionally intelligent. And again, like you cannot use age as evidence of emotional intelligence. Welcome to Dating Yapps, the podcast where we swap wild dating stories, share laughs, and serve up real talk experiences and advice. So let's get into it. Hello and welcome to Dating Yapps. I'm your host, Alex Daly, and I am so excited for today's topic. We are getting personal. It's going to be juicy. We are talking about dating younger men, and I'm fired up about it. I have a personal stake in this topic. I can't wait to get into it. But before I do, let me bring on my guest. Today, I have my amazing friend Amanda here to talk about this topic with me. Welcome, Amanda.
Thank you, Alex. I'm so happy to be here. I never thought that I'd be on a podcast at all, let alone talking about dating younger men. So here we are.
You know what? You never know where life is going to take you.
I know.
And yeah, truly, we have been on a journey. I think you are my oldest friend, not in age, but just by the fact that we became friends in nursery school. I think you are quite literally my first friend ever.
Oh,
and yeah. I'm honestly impressed that we have stayed friends throughout the years. It's like very super cool. I also think it's cool that we became friends by proximity, basically. We probably like sat next to each other in nursery school. But I think we've talked about in the past how if we met each other today, like we would probably still become friends.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I always wonder like what drew us to each other. Because I do remember being quite good friends at the age of 3, basically.
Yes.
I've known you longer than I've known my own brother. So I don't know if we just happened to be sitting next to each other at nursery school and just hit it off or what. I think we were kind of like the quieter and socially challenged ones out of the group, which I still struggle with. But yeah, I think definitely if we met today, I think we'd definitely be friends.
Yeah, and I think that's like super special and rare. So I love our friendship. I'm so grateful for it. I love those friends that you can just like pick up where you left off.
Yes, absolutely. And especially the past few years, it's hard to be in the position of being our age and being divorced and actually having someone who understands what you're going through and that you can speak very frankly about it with and kind of be vulnerable. Because, you know, what does a married person know? Oh, you're happily married? Bah, get out of here. Yeah.
Exactly. No, yeah, we've been on very similar journeys. It's kind of wild that we met when we were like 3-4 years old. We actually haven't lived in the same town since we were like 13 or something, but we're friends on and off throughout the years. And then we ended up getting married kind of around the same time. And then we also ended up getting separated around the same time. I think we both got like the 7-year itch in a marriage. I guess it's like actually a real thing. I didn't know. But something I was just thinking about today was that you actually were kind of, I don't want to say an inspiration for me to end my marriage, but like kind of, honestly, it was like a big realization point for me. I remember I had texted you, I think it was for your birthday, and just like reached out, hey, happy birthday, how's it going? What are you up to? What's new? And you were like, oh, hey, thanks, I'm great. And you could just go, well, actually, like my husband and I are separating. And I just remember my gut reaction was that I was jealous. And it was just like all of a sudden, like alarm bells were going off in my head. And I was like, wait, I'm jealous that she's separating from her husband. Like that was not the reaction I was expecting to get from myself. And it just really made me start to think about things a lot differently.
Yeah, I think that conversation kind of got the ball rolling for you, if I remember correctly. And so I think after that conversation, the next time I heard from you, you were like, oh, I'm getting separated. And I felt happy for you. I was like, great.
Yeah.
This is a really great idea.
For me, when I make up my mind about something, I'm probably going to do it. So yeah. But yeah, so we ended our marriages, and then we have both found ourselves back in the dating world, and so we've been able to connect on that. I think that we've had different dating journeys. Like I just kind of had fun, was bopping around, not taking anything too seriously. And I would get texts from you often about how you felt like really down about it and we're just like struggling to meet people that you connected with. And we're just like having a little bit of a more, I don't want to say negative, but a little bit more like negative viewpoint on dating. And that has turned around for you recently, I think, but we'll get into that in a minute. So I would love to just like dive in with a little like icebreaker segment, talking about, you know, some of your dating preferences and learn a little bit more about your dating experiences. So
Okay.
I'm curious, when you were out and about dating, did you prefer a coffee date or a drinks date?
I need that liquid courage for sure. I know that's not the healthy or smart choice, but I love going out and getting a drink and just kind of like breathing a sigh of relief once I get a little
Yeah.
alcohol in me.
I totally understand that. I honestly give people who are sober and dating so much credit. Like, it is not easy because it's really wild how much of our culture is built around going out for drinks and dating for sure. You're like, yeah, I want to like loosen up a little bit. So 90% of my dates were probably meeting up for a drink.
Yes. Yeah. I also have that same feeling whenever I hear about people going out for coffee. I'm like, oh my God, how do you do that? So
Yeah.
awkward.
I have done a handful of them. I don't think I've ever had a successful coffee
Yeah.
date, to be honest.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
okay, so I agree with you there. So then, do you prefer a dinner date or an activity date?
Definitely activity.
Mm.
I don't want to be stuck sitting across from someone being forced to make eye contact if we are not hitting it off and it's super awkward. And, you know, activities just kind of bring like a little levity and fun into the situation. Although I've had experiences of, for some reason, always totally like rushing the guy in whatever we're doing accidentally. Like, I don't want to win. I don't want to win mini golf. There's this guy like teeing up, like squaring his feet and his hips and everything to try and get this hole in one. And then I'm just drunk and not trying. And I'm the one who just like totally whoops his ass. This has happened
Yeah.
with so many things. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't
You
mean to.
you just can't help it that you're so good at mini golf.
I know. I mean, I wish that I were naturally good at something that, I don't know, would be beneficial for my life or my income, but it seems to be like bowling, billiards, darts, you know, stupid stuff like that.
So funny. No, I feel you on the activity date. It's good to have something else to focus on also. So
Yes.
it's like you're not just like sitting across from someone feeling like you're at a job interview, which can be really
Yes.
awkward.
Yeah.
Is there an activity date that you prefer? Is mini golf your jam? Is there anything else you like?
That's a good question. Um, no, I don't know if I have like a preference. You know what? I do like darts. There's also something
Mm.
about like, just that continuous, you're like not doing anything. You're just standing there throwing a dart at a bullseye, but it's kind of like that shower principle where your mind is kind of doing something to distract you and you're actually able to get like really good kind of thoughts in. And I found
Hmm.
that like when I'm doing that, I actually have like better conversation because I'm kind of
Ah,
preoccupied doing something else and I'm not really
yeah.
overthinking it.
That makes sense. I
Yeah.
feel like I would struggle with darts in particular because I'm so bad at it. So I think I
Oh
would
yeah.
have to really focus if I
Wait, how
wanted
do
to
I
like
throw?
get anywhere on the target at all. I
Uh-huh.
have to like I have to dial in.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. So do you prefer texting before the date or like minimal chatting, like set up the date on the app and then wait till you get there for a conversation?
I need to text first
Oh.
for some important reasons, including I need to make sure that homeboy knows how to string a sentence together. He can use proper grammar and punctuation.
Fair.
There was a guy I was going to go out with, and he ended up putting LOL at the end of every sentence. And so I was like, I'm not interested. I can't see you. LOL. But I just can't, like, I can't do that. So,
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
think that
I think I saw
yeah.
I think I saw something online that was like millennials use LOL like they used to use stop in telegrams. And now I'm like, I can't unhear it.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, well, fair. I feel like I'm actually on the opposite end of the camp from you there. Like, I did not like to text before a date because I just had the experience of people who wanted to text before a date were kind of like looking for more of a pen pal. And I'm like, that's not what I'm looking
Mm,
for.
goes on forever.
I don't have time to like chat with you all day. Like, I have other things going on. And I also just feel like sometimes that if you're texting a lot, it builds up this like false sense of intimacy. You're like, oh, I know this
Mm.
person, but really, you can't really get to know them until you meet face to face. So I just prefer like stay on the apps, quick little banter to make sure all the things that you said, like they can string a sentence together, they're a regular human, and then set the date up. And then I just prefer to like meet them and chat with them live.
So you haven't found that there's if there's like a vibe that transfers from text over to in real life.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would like want to chat with them enough on the app to get that vibe and feel like, oh, like we can be flirty, we can be cute, he can hold a conversation, he does ask a question. But then like
Mm-hmm.
once I know that information, like I have no tolerance for like, hey, how's your day going? Like I don't care. You
Yeah.
don't care, like
Yeah, let's just meet in person and talk. Yeah, I do
yeah.
get that.
Yeah. So now we know some of your dating preferences. I'd love to get a little bit deeper into it. So I alluded to the fact that you have sort of changed your tune on dating pretty recently. I was excited to get a text from you that you were like, oh, like I'm feeling pretty good about something. And it was like very exciting to hear. Actually, before that text, I got a text from you that said, hey, what do you think about dating younger men? And I was just like, and like I'm not sure if you were aware at the time or not, or how aware you were that the person that I am dating is almost 9 years younger than me. So pretty
I didn't know
significant.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty significant age gap there. And so I was wondering if like that's why you were reaching out to me, but I was just like, oh, obviously go for it. Like I have dated a bunch of younger men, and I think that's for a few reasons. Like we are in our latest 30s. You and I are both turning 40 this year. I'm turning 40 in like literally a handful of weeks. So I think a lot of people our age are married still. And so like that literally just takes people out of the game. And both of us are slightly ahead of the divorce curve. So we were on it in our mid 30s. And so yeah, a lot of people are married and therefore unavailable. So then you kind of have this choice of dating like older guys or younger guys, because the older guys are also divorced, usually, probably.
Mm-hmm.
And then the younger guys likely haven't been married. And so that's kind of like your choices. And I, dabbled on both ends of that spectrum. And I just naturally found myself gravitating towards the younger end of the spectrum because I don't know, we just connected more. I found them to be a lot more open-minded, more fun. They had more availability. They didn't have children. And I'm not saying like I didn't go super young. We'll talk about age range in a second, but even just a few years younger. And sometimes you notice a difference and sometimes you don't. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, before you asked me that question about how do you feel about dating younger men, what was your age range preferences on the apps?
On the apps, I think the youngest I had was 35. I think it was 35 to 45.
Okay.
And I had ended up dating mostly people who were around like 43, 40.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then what did you change it to?
I ended up changing it to 26, the
Okay.
lowest.
Okay. I totally agree with you there. And, let's like preface this conversation that we are talking about two consenting adults entering into a relationship. Everyone is well above age. I think 25 is like the absolute lowest that you can go because that's the age that you get the fully formed brain. So we're talking about adults 25 plus for the purposes of this conversation.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
yes. And we will also say that it is our experience. We are both cishet white women. We have been in mostly hetero relationships. So that is also our experience going into this conversation. We're talking about 25 plus. Everyone has a fully formed brain. Everyone is a consenting adult. And I think it's interesting to open it up. So opening up your age range, like what were some of the differences that you noticed?
So one of the reasons that I did it was because of where I am in life, not wanting to be married or have more children. Right. And I had made an assumption, and I still don't necessarily know if this is true, but if a guy is 35, 36, he's never been married, he doesn't have children, he might want to do that. And I'm not going to be doing that with you. I think someone who's in their later 20s, especially a man, he doesn't have to worry about that forever. I think that it's being more on the same page in terms of in terms of dating goals is what I've found.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Similarly, I was also not looking to get into something super serious. And I think the younger guys are very open to that. And both of us were probably coming from it from this place of like, yeah, I don't want to get married right now. I don't want to have kids. Like I personally, I don't have kids right now. I am so unlikely to have them in the future. It's not a goal of mine. So I do have a little bit more freedom in like what I was looking for and how I was able to date. But yeah, I think you're right that it is a difference in like preferences. And as someone for yourself being divorced and already having children, knowing that you are not going to have more children, you're going to make different choices than someone who is looking for those things.
Yes, for sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So curious, did you feel weird about it when you first were thinking about dating younger? Because I feel like there is this societal norm and societal expectation that women are supposed to date older than them. And it's like kind of just what we're used to when you hear about age gap relationships. It's more often than not, the man is older and the woman is younger because we're like, oh, we assume that if the man is older, he's going to be more mature. He's going to be more set up in life. He's going to be, I guess, a better provider or something. I don't know. And it's not talked about as often when the woman is older than the man.
Yeah. And I found, having dated men in their 40s, that they aren't necessarily more mature or have their shit together at all. Which is kind of, my last relationship ended in May, and then I spent up until probably like October totally single, not talking to anyone. And it was really great. But it really got me thinking about those kinds of things. The thing that really stirred actually dating someone younger and like changing age range was my brother had a friend visiting who is his age, so 7 years younger than us, 32. And he just broken up with a long-term girlfriend. And my sister made a joke saying, oh, Amanda and Michael should date. And my brother's answer was, that's a completely inappropriate age range or age gap. And we were both
7 years?
Excuse me? You did not just say that. Are you joking? And, you know, his girlfriend is almost 5 years younger than him, which is fine, of course. So that really, I don't know, it kind of like kicked my ass into like, what? Well, let's see about that, you know?
You like you wanted to prove your brother wrong.
Yeah, and I have. So, you know, I win. Yeah.
But yeah, it's not the norm. It's not the norm. It's like we're told as women that we should be dating older men. And yeah, as someone who like got back into dating at this stage in my life, I wanted to learn more about it. So I follow a lot of dating coaches online, and one of them gets questions all the time from women that's like, I'm 41. I met this guy who's 32. Is this okay? And her answer is always yes. And would you even be asking the question if it were reversed? If you were 31 and the man was 42, would you be asking that question? No.
No. And I think that's it. When I was a young lady, I still am a young lady. When I was in my 20s, I thought the prospect of dating an older man was disgusting. Not because of anything to do with how they physically look or anything like that. I found it disgusting because I don't want an old man preying on me just because I am societally considered, to be to have vitality
Right.
and my youth and my ability to bear children.
Right.
That's creepy to me, but it's accepted.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is no term that I know of for a man dating a younger woman, but for an older woman to date a young man, it's such a crazy concept that we have to come up with terms for it, such as cougar,
Right.
which is insinuating that you are
Predatory.
preying. Yes,
Yeah.
you're preying on young men who are called cubs, which is
Ugh.
also disgusting. Like, oh, little baby cub, like a cute little cub. Like, that's gross. Um, so why can't I just be a woman who happens to be dating someone that's
Yeah. No, it's so true, and I think it's just another form of misogyny that there are these terms for women, and there is no comparison for men who date younger women because it's just expected and accepted of them. And for women, it's like, "Ooh, you're a cougar." It's just like it's so yucky, and it's just like part of the patriarchy. Like misogyny is alive and well. People love to control women. They love to put us down. They don't want to see us in positions of power, like it's
Mhm.
just like it's so bizarre. But
Yeah.
I mean, I think things are shifting a little bit, little by little. We're moving at a glacial pace, but I think it's starting to become more acceptable to like flip these dynamics. And there are some studies that are showing that 80% of women are now open to dating a man who are 10 years younger than them. And, this is like, we are going a little bit off script now where traditional gender roles are not in play as much. Age expectations are loosening again for consenting adults, and it's just a little bit more acceptable. I think at least it's heading in that direction, which I like to see. But yeah, I think a few of the reasons for this are like women are prioritizing different things. They're prioritizing emotional and like physical connection over like this man who's going to be like a provider or like the leader of the household or whatever. So it's just like we're looking for different things, and we're looking for partners who are emotionally mature. And I think that's one of the things that I've noticed when dating slightly younger guys versus slightly older is I don't know, just like the time that they came of age, they're just more open-minded. They are more open. They're going to therapy. They are more in tune with their feelings, at least the ones that I have dated. And the guys who are a little bit older were like a little bit more set in their ways and just like not as able to be flexible in these concepts. Is that something that you've noticed?
Yeah, for sure. Like I don't need a daddy. I'm my own daddy. I also don't need another child. I already have
Oh,
two.
yeah.
So if I was going to be dating younger, that is a very important aspect
Mhm.
of everything. Is I'm not going to be man keeping, which is a term that I just learned, which is a woman who has to take the role of their partner's therapist because
Yeah.
they won't take care of themselves. They won't go to therapy. They just put all of their issues onto their partner
Mhm.
amongst all the other weight that she's carrying.
No, I
So
haven't heard this term before either. Man keeping.
yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
It's a good one. That
And
is a good one.
yeah, and I think that's really common from what I've seen. Like all the older men that I've dated desperately need therapy and introspection and to work on themselves, but it's for whatever reason they're just not going to ever. But when I started talking to younger men, they seem to just have a much higher emotional intelligence, which is just
Hmm.
essential. That just leads to, I mean, that vulnerability and paves the way for connection in ways that an older or masculine or whatever they want to think, traditional person
Hmm.
is necessarily going to be able to open up and do.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that's something that surprised me about dating younger guys. Like my partner now, he's almost 9 years younger than me. So to be honest, when I first went out with him, I was like, okay, this will be cute. This will be fun. We'll go on a few fun dates and that'll be it. But I was actually so surprised about how emotionally intelligent he was and like how much work he's done on himself and how open of a communicator he is and how thoughtful and intentional he is with everything. And it's just like, it was so shocking to me because it's just like not something that I had really experienced to that level before. And I just really appreciate that about him. And it's just, yeah, it's just goes to show that age is literally just one factor that goes into your life experience. And there's just so many other ways that you can become emotionally intelligent, and age does not equate to emotional intelligence.
Does not whatsoever.
Yeah. We love to point out different celebrity couples that are in these age gap dynamics. I was actually surprised you sent me a list. It was like pretty comprehensive. There's a lot of celebrity couples. We got Cameron Diaz and Benji Madden. They have a 7 year age gap. I believe Benji Madden is also shorter and younger than Cameron. So shouts out to the short kings out there. We love a short king. Kim Cattrall and her boyfriend have a 14-year age gap because of course they do. Of course Samantha from Sex and the City is going to have a younger boyfriend. Let's see, there's Vanessa Hudgens and her MLB boyfriend Cole Tucker have an 8 year age gap. Eva Mendes and Ryan Gosling 6 years. Julianne Moore is so hot, so beautiful, so talented. Her husband of I think a long time have they've been married for a while. They have a 9 year age gap. Gabrielle Union, Dwayne Wade, 9 years. So yeah, there's like actually a lot of examples out there. And I feel like one thing that I love about it is that you wouldn't necessarily notice just by like seeing these couples that they do have an age gap between them.
And I had no idea about a lot of them. The ones that you hear about are like Madonna or Cher, who's dating like, she's like, what, in her 70s or 80s and
Yes.
dating 40
Like,
something year old. But that always brings up that kind of, she's a predator.
right.
And what is he getting from it? Well, of course, these young men are going for these older, washed up ladies, because they're rich. That's kind of just that's why it makes headlines,
Yeah.
and that's not fair.
It's not fair because we don't know what their relationship is like. You really don't, and unless you're inside it. But yeah, that when they point out the more extreme versions of age gaps, that's when they can bring out the more negative connotations around it. But we just know that that's just like not always the case. So I'm curious, what are like some of the hurdles that you had to overcome in order to get to this point where you felt comfortable dating the younger guys?
I think it was also a very personal journey of like self-love to be able to do
Mhm.
that, because I think we unintentionally have this internalized misogyny that's just kind of been built into us where I I'm 39. I have two children. Why on earth would someone who's in their 20s want to date me? Like, why? What? And it sounds crazy to say out loud, but I think, especially even just getting divorced, I was like, well, like, I guess I'm going to be alone forever because why would anyone want to date me? Feels like a
Mhm.
lot to ask of someone to take on, especially the whole children aspect and having to work around my childcare schedule. So I think once I kind of got past that idea that I somehow wasn't worthy of affection or love or whatever of anyone, but especially a younger person, that I was like, I was ready to go. Let's do it.
Yeah, no, that's a huge one to overcome. And it's like, it's so important, I think, to be in any relationship, honestly, is like being able to be kind to yourself and feel like you are worthy of that love. So I'm like, yeah, I'm curious what your experience was then. Once you did feel like you were worthy of it, did you feel like well, first of all, what is your age gap right now?
Oh, it's 12 years, almost 12
12
years.
years. Okay. So was this person able to sort of like validate the fact that you
Yeah, for sure. We've only been dating for a few months, but he's very like, you're so beautiful. I just appreciate getting to spend any time with you. I know that you have so many other things going on in your life, and he understands that the priority is always going to be like my kids, and it's not a competition. He'll say things like, "I can't believe I get to take you out. Like I'm the luckiest guy," which just
that's
is
the sweetest.
it's really sweet. It still is like, okay, that's crazy. Like, but but otherwise, yeah. I mean, and the age thing at first, I'm like, why? I have to be like, what do you like? Why are you talking to me? What are you looking for? But he's had a lot of life experience,
Yeah.
and it just hasn't ever been an issue or anything that I've noticed within our relationship.
That's amazing. No, it's so good to hear. And that's like what you want, honestly, is a partner who appreciates you and understands you and sees you. And that's also been my experience in my current relationship. And it's been such a game changer. I don't know, just I feel so loved, and
Mhm.
it's been wonderful, and it's definitely totally changed my mind about some of these things, because I did have to get over the hurdle myself as well. In the beginning, I was like, wait, is this weird? Like, is this okay? Like, are people going to look at me funny? And for me, I had to get over fear of judgment from other people, and it's
Mhm.
just like the people pleasy part of you wants to just like look a certain way for other people. And it's just like, is this okay? But literally, like, once I got that out of my head, I'm like, no, this feels right for me. It doesn't matter what other people think because we know that this feels good for us. Then it was just like, I literally don't even notice our age difference like 99% of the time.
Yeah. Is there an instance you can think of where you've noticed it?
Well, I mean, here's a funny one. Like, literally, last night we were watching Talladega Nights, which honestly is still such a funny movie, but it did come out in a very different time. And there's a lot of jokes in it about like gayness and like how gay men are like the butt of the joke. And like
Yeah.
our societally, our culture has shifted a lot since then. But anyway, so we're watching it and I was like, oh, like it's so interesting to see how much we've shifted since then. Like, what year did this movie come out? So we looked it up. And my partner was like, "Oh yeah, I was in middle school." And I was like,
Oh,
I was like, okay, we're just gonna move past that one.
yeah.
But literally otherwise, like it's so rare for me to like notice because we just like we're otherwise so on the same level and we have had so many similar life experiences that I would not have guessed that we would have connected on. And like my partner has been married in the past. He got married super young. He was
Oh.
basically a child bride. But so like he has that had that experience of getting divorced and having to find himself again. And so like we really connected over that.
Mhm. Yeah, that's great.
But yeah, I think there is just like an open-mindedness that I've noticed, like a willingness to adapt to new situations that I have appreciated just dating a little bit younger. Is there
Mhm.
anything that you've noticed where you do notice the age gap?
Not really. Sometimes, like if we go to a bar and have to give our IDs, I'm kind of like, "Ugh," like please don't analyze the difference in 1985 and 1996.
It's okay. Honestly, the bouncers just have to look at the fact that our birthdays start with a 19 and they're like,
Yeah,
you're old
I
enough to
know. I
drive.
know. I have to get over that. That's my own personal thing. I think the the only thing. that's happened was we were at Waffle House, which I'd never been to. He really wanted to take me to Waffle House. And there was a jukebox there, and some wonderful woman put on a song by Keith Sweat. I'll be twisting over you. That came out in 1996, which, like, before he was born. And he obviously had no, he's like, I've never heard this in my life. Like, I don't know who is this person. Now I'm like, this is our song. Like,
Yeah,
so
no,
yeah.
but it's like it's literally just those tiny little cultural reference points, but otherwise it's like it's really not a thing.
No, and that was also kind of something I was really worried about was the cultural aspect of it because us millennials are well documented for like loving nostalgia, 90s nostalgia. And so I'm like, what could I possibly have in common with someone who's born in the mid 90s? Like they're going to get my references or pop culture stuff that's happened. I haven't found that to be the case at all with him or with anyone else that I went out with before. I don't know if it's just because they actually grew up with the internet that they're just more educated and attuned to the culture of the years before them. But that would be like us going out with someone who loves the 80s, and we were born mid 80s. I don't know anything about what happened in the 80s, really.
True.
But for some reason, all of these guys that I've gone out with, like, know everything.
That's
Different
so
times. I don't
funny.
know.
It is a different time. It's really not that big of a deal when you get down to it. I think really your life experience matters so much more. The work that you've done on yourself matters so much more. Like how open-minded you are, how emotionally intelligent. And again, like you cannot use age as evidence of emotional intelligence. Like I just can't drill that home enough. Like it's not a good judgment of it. And yeah, I think for me, I really just had to like get over my own personal fear of being judged for it. And then
Mhm.
once I did, it was just like, yeah, this doesn't matter.
How is the rest of your family taken to you
Oh,
dating someone so much younger?
I did bring my boyfriend home for the holidays with me to my family for Christmas, and our family has this tradition on Christmas Eve where everybody opens like one present at a time and you have to start with the youngest. So then
Oh, the
it became
baby.
it became very apparent how
Mhm.
many of my siblings were between my boyfriend and myself in terms of age range, but
Oh yeah.
like he just like took it in stride. He's so like easygoing, go with the flow. He was like rolling with the punches, and it was just like totally fine. We could just all have a laugh about it.
Oh good. Yeah, my mom learned of him, and on Christmas, maybe it was Christmas Eve, she started asking a whole bunch of questions, which I answered. And then she asked me how old he was. And I said, he's almost 28. And then one of the kids came over asking grandma to like help unbox a present or something. She's like, oh, thank God, a distraction. Like
Oh wow.
yeah. And surprisingly, she hasn't said anything since. I mean, she made it
Hmm.
clear with that comment, oh, like, oh God, but has kept it to herself so far. So
Okay. And they haven't met.
no, no. Yeah, so I'm sure they will eventually, but
Well, they might feel differently after meeting.
yeah. I mean, when it comes down to it, all that matters is just how they're treating you, and that's it.
Exactly. Exactly. And I feel like I have never been treated better.
Mhm. Great.
What is your biggest takeaway that you have gotten out of being more open-minded to opening up your age range to dating younger men?
I mean, it's all been the most positive dating experiences that I've had. And it really kind of helped me personally just kind of break down my own blockers and really stop caring about those kind of societal rules that are placed for us. I think the great thing about aging is that you just give less fucks as you get
Yeah.
older. So I'm really trying to embrace that, and it's gone really well.
I love to hear that. Yeah, I feel that as well. I mean, I'm not going to pretend that I give zero fucks. I definitely do, but I have way less
Less.
fucks to
Yeah.
give
Hmm.
than ever before. And it feels really good. It feels good to be doing something that feels good for me versus what I think other people want me to do or what I think I should be doing. And honestly, like I like pushing against societal norms a little bit, being a little non-traditional, and it feels good to me.
Yeah, I know. Me too. And like when I look at my life now, like I'm like, this is what I wanted. Like when I got a divorce, this is what I wanted. I get to, like go out and explore new places. He lives in Denver, and I'm in the suburbs. So we go to museums and, different parks and restaurants and all these things that, I otherwise would never go to or experience. And I'm like, it's Thursday, and I'm out to dinner with like my hot young boyfriend. Like, life can't get better right now, you know?
Hell yeah, girl. I feel totally the same. I feel very validated. It is also the experience that I wanted, that I felt like there was something else out there for me. I'm like, wow, like I was right. And I feel very energized. I feel like lit up. And yeah, you're right. Like my partner and I, we go out and we do so much. Like he takes me to shows all the time. He's like big into music and like he's introduced me to so much new stuff, and it's very energizing and it's giving me life. And I think
Hmm.
that's also what I want out of a relationship. And it just like it feels so good, and I'm so happy to hear that you have felt similarly.
Oh yeah, it's been really great. Luckily, I think that's the thing too is no matter anyone's age, you have to have like a similar temperament. And,
Mhm.
luckily for me, my boo like doesn't like crowds, and, he doesn't make me go to concerts. Like that's like elder abuse for me. Like that's not happening. So yeah.
That's so funny. No, I feel like I like missed out on a lot of that stuff when I was in my 20s because I was like so seriously a ballerina, and so now I
Yeah.
feel like I am like getting to go out and do that stuff that I wanted to
Yeah.
before, and it has
Uh-huh.
been fun for me. But yeah, I mean sometimes I do get tired, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, you're getting to do all that now. Do you ever feel like you're the oldest person at the club?
I mean,
Or
honestly, knock on wood, haven't had that experience yet. I think like the scene that he's in is like extremely open-minded, and it's just like a wide range of people, and people are just like letting their freak flags fly,
yeah.
just doing what they want. So I think it goes like really hand in hand with like pushing against societal norms and just like doing your own thing. So I really have not had that experience, which has been
Oh,
great.
good. Good.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, wow. What a conversation. We never thought we would be here today, but here we are. And I
Well,
think it's very clear that we are both like pro dating younger men. It's been a good
do it,
experience.
everyone.
Do it. At least try. Try. It's
Yeah.
not going to hurt
Try
you
it
to
out.
try,
Yeah.
to open your mind, go on one date, see how it goes. You might be surprised.
You're worth it. Like it, we found that out. You'll find it out too.
Yeah, it's such an important part to like feel like you are worthy of love in any part of dating, but you're
Yeah.
so right. And it's just like, yeah, be open-minded, try new things. I totally like that was one thing that I really tried to do when I started dating again, was like purposefully date outside of my type, date a wide variety of people. And yeah, you just never know who you're going to connect with, what you're going to connect over, and you might be surprised.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, Amanda, thank you so much for yapping and chatting with us today and sharing some of your experiences. It's been such a joy to connect on this topic.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I didn't realize we had so much to say, but here we are, an hour
Clearly,
later.
so passionate about this topic.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Thank you everyone so much for listening along and joining us today. If you enjoyed this topic of conversation, maybe send it to someone who might also enjoy it, share with a friend, and so excited to connect with you all more in the future. So until next time, we will talk to you later.